All right, so let's talk about our knives today.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So here we have two different types of knives. This one that we're trying to feature today is the Nakiri knife. Nakiri. And this one over here is a Gyuto knife. All right, obviously different shapes and different uses. So this Gyuto is very similar to the Western, right, the chef's cut that we're used to. And I feel a lot of people here are maybe not used to using this type of knife, right, the Nakiri.
I don't think I've ever used that kind of knife before.
Yeah, you can definitely see the shape difference. It's much more square, right, compared to this. Also the blade ends, right, this one is more round, which is kind of used for a more walking style cut, whereas the Nakiri is very straight, very straight. Yeah.
What would you typically use this knife for, like vegetables, like meats, or?
Good question. So the Nakiri knife literally means na is a Japanese character or Chinese character for leaves, right?
Oh, okay.
But this is not just limited to just cutting leaves. It's generally a vegetable knife. I think that's an easy way to remember it, where you want to cut your vegetables rather evenly, right? Maybe whether it's a julienne cut or whether it's a thin cut, this helps you cut your knives very smoothly and also straight.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so the shape I think is also very similar to like your Chinese knives, like where you've seen those really big knives, and it's like a smaller version of it, right? Obviously in Chinese cooking, you do cut a lot of bones, right? You do chop on a lot of, let's say, chicken, or like whether it's pork bones, so you do actually use that butchering element. But in Japanese cooking, usually we don't have meats with bones, and therefore this specific Nakiri knife is best for vegetables.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. What about this one? What's this one typically used for?
So this is a Gyuto knife, which is a very all-rounded knife, right? It's better for, so you can see the difference in blade length as well, right? The Gyuto is longer. So typically these knives are used for generally everything, but it's also better for cutting stuff like meat, right? Where you can actually use the blade, right, length to cut across whatever you're cutting.
Yeah, I really like the handle on this one. Kind of a little better than this one.
Nice, nice. Yeah, Zaku knives, they all come in different types of handle, right, with great premium materials. For example, these are walnut, right? This has even a little buffalo horn. Oh. So yeah, you can use your favorite color, different material. Also, they have different weights, so kind of based on your balance that you want, you can definitely choose your knives. All right. So shall we try actually using our knives?
Yeah, let's go.
So I think daikon is a very popular, let's say, ingredient in Japanese cooking. Like you can use it for putting it into your miso soup. You can cook it with many things, such as oden. It's kind of like a great, like warm soupy thing for the winter. A lot of things you can do with the daikon. So let me just give you your share. Just gonna cut it off. Just put it to the side. And let's see, I'll give you a portion. The Nakiri is also great because the blade is smooth. When you want to kind of skin these, right, obviously the easy way is to use a peeler. But when you don't have that, right, let's say if you have to peel a daikon, a lot of Japanese chefs just use a Nakiri to actually cut across, right, and actually trim. This process is actually very easy using a Nakiri. You can see that you can get a paper thin skin off like this. I'm not going to make you do it, Mitchell, today, but this is just a way to kind of showcase the Nakiri. Because of the straight blade, unlike a lot of the Western knives, you can just go around.
You seem like a pro at this. You seem to got it. And
it's actually faster than a peeler. So, first one, the most basic one, I think, is when you're, let's say, serving daikon. Let's say we're using it for oden. We use a hangetsugiri. So, just place it like that, and we're just gonna cut across.
All right.
And when you hold a Japanese knife, a quick tip is to basically use a pinch grip. All right, so you see this really thin end, and you basically put 2 fingers over there.
Okay.
And then you can just place 3 fingers over here.
All right.
And hold it like that. All right.
I think like I'm doing it right.
So how it works is the Japanese blade is somewhat heavy, and to balance that off, we have this blade. And with your fingers, 3 fingers here, you can basically kind of use it like that, where your fingers are kind of a pivotal point.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right, so with a firm grip, you can just go down. Nice.
Ooh, that was nice and smooth.
Okay, so hanggetsu is basically the half moon. So for things like daikon, you would have a slightly larger cut, something like that. Right, and you can get chunky pieces of daikon. Stuff like that. If you're putting into miso soup, obviously you want, there you go. So if you're doing an ichogiri, maybe you can just even do another one across, halfway.
Now, is there a certain angle I should be cutting in?
Good question. So when you're using these kind of knives, right, in Western cutting, right, knives, you'd usually kind of use the round edges of the knife. So you're kind of cutting like this. Instead, when you use this straight blade, you kind of want to push diagonally, kind of like that. So keep the blade parallel to your cutting board. You're just cutting diagonally straight.
Oh,
There you go. Right? So this one is called the ichogiri. Like these cuts, they basically kind of look like the ginkgo leaf.
Oh, okay.
And icho is a ginkgo. So that's another way you can use it in your soups or little salads or anything like that. All right.
That was fun. Yeah.
Good. So that's the daikon. Let's move on to carrots.
Cool.
So let's just cut off the ends. Again, slight push, very smooth. This is a pretty thick carrot, but that was very smooth. Let's say we can cut, maybe you can cut like 2 inches.
Okay.
And you can leave the rest over here. All right, so I think we can work with that. So when we're doing the julienne cut, right, first you want to cut one end, just a little thin end. So hold firm. And if you cut one end, we want to make sure we kind of go down evenly, right? So make sure you're looking from above so you can get an even cut. And maybe we can go for, let's try if we can go about this thin. Pretty thin. Yep. Push down diagonally and you'll get that smooth cut.
I think I'm getting the hang of this.
You can get your cuts all the way.
All right.
Nice. You put it together, and then just try to do even cuts. Again, same thickness. It really depends on how you want to use it. So if you want more fine, obviously you can cut here like Mitchell. And you have your mini carrot sticks like that. Like a quick julienne cut, which is great for like sauteing, for example. And if you want to do, let's say, some Italian cooking, if you're making something like a sofrito with onions and celery and whatnot, you can just go the other way again and make your little cubes. See there?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just much easier because the blade's shorter. You're actually closer to whatever you're cutting, as opposed to if you're using blades like this. You can cut closer, but people tend to use it further. It gives you less control. So again, if you're going for more precision, I think Nakiri is much easier. Yeah. You can do a few more cuts, and maybe you can try doing the same with your Gyuto over here and see how that
Let's
feels
try
different.
that. Let's switch. This one's more of a samurai sword.
Yeah.
Or my style. All right, let's see. Let's see how this one goes.
Let me do this as well.
So how does my grip supposed to look again? Because I keep wanting to do this. But
You can do that actually. This is also a point grip, which
Okay.
is used when you want precision cutting. So if you're really going for precision, it also helps you push down with your finger.
I feel like my finger naturally wants to be.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Instantly, as I'm using my Gyuto, I already do feel a difference that I actually get more power through the Nakiri, especially if I'm cutting something a little bit hard like a carrot.
I feel like I get more like leverage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I definitely need to push down a little more with the Gyuto, whereas the Nakiri, right, it already has the weight of the blade over here, which makes it much easier to cut through. You can definitely see that. Much easier when cutting things like this. So if I were cutting a potato, and if I had these two knives, which one would I use? Which one would you use, Mitchell?
I feel like I need power to cut it.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like if I had both knives readily available at the house, I would probably use a Nakiri if I just had to cut through them, right? Depending on, I don't know, if we're just doing bigger cuts for roasting or whatever it is.
Like if I wanted to make French fries, I would probably use this one because I probably want more precision.
I would still use the Nakiri. Yeah, Nakiri is pretty good for French fries. So if I were doing Nakiri, right, again, Nakiri really shines when you're trying to do straight cuts. So for French fries, right, you can do big cuts like that. You can even do thinner fries. There you go. See, thin fries like that. I think really works with the Nakiri, especially when you're cutting root vegetables like this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the Gyuto doesn't work. Obviously, Gyuto is a great knife, and it's one of the most versatile other than the Santoku. And obviously, it does work, right? And if it's sharp enough, you can definitely do a lot of cuts with this. But again, as I'm cutting, I already do feel more resistance with the knife like this, whereas if I'm doing the same cut, I would probably use a Nakiri where I can apply more power. Definitely easier to cut more. So especially, right, if you're cutting a lot of things, right, applying power does matter. And if you're trying to be more efficient by using the right knife for whatever purpose, I think does make a difference. Simple push cuts. You can actually do really thin cuts over here. Just move the blade with your finger, one by one. No pressure, Mitchell.
No pressure. All right.
But here again, Nakiri, because you're really close to it, these simple chops are also the Nakiri's forte. You can get really thin slices of onions. Obviously, you can use a slicer for these things, but once you're used to it, obviously, you don't want additional things to wash, right? So might as well just use your knife, and you can really get thin cuts like that. Oh, one thing that's interesting with the cutting the onion, if you can use the knife correctly, you actually don't get the onion juice in your eyes, so it actually doesn't hurt, right? So when you actually don't use the knife properly, when you're not using the blade, or let's say if you're pushing down on, or if you're pushing, it actually breaks the cells of the onions, which actually gets all the onion juices in the air. When you actually use the knife correctly and really use that blade, like diagonal cut, you actually don't get all the onion juices in the air.
Well,
so you actually never.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Mitchell, today we used several different knives today.
Yeah.
The Nakiri, the Gyuto. Hopefully we were able to showcase the difference, right, of these two and when they actually shine. Again, personally, with the vegetables that I cut today, especially the vegetables, if I had the choice, I would definitely use the Nakiri, right? Able to apply more power, more precision in terms of cutting straight. And hopefully you're able to kind of see that difference.
Yeah, it was really nice to use. Although, I mean, my cutting skills are just subpar compared to yours. Not a pro here. But it was really easy to use. A lot more so than I thought it would be.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we don't have to be pros to use Japanese knives. I think it's more about the process and having fun with it.
Yeah.
And having these beautiful knives actually makes the process more fun, right? Instead of using your, right, cheap, whatever knives. So again, if you like cooking, right, you'll continue to improve. Hopefully your cutting gets better.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to take a pair of these home and start cooking.
Yes, please do, and let us know what you cook next.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so
All right.
much.
Thanks again for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.